The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dramatized for radio by Jill Brooke, from the story by Robert Louis Stevenson. With Michael Aldridge as Dr. Jekyll, James Bryce as Mr. Hyde, and Bernard Hepton as Utterson. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
The Last Will and Testament of Henry Jekyll, M.D. D.C.L. F.R.S. I, Henry Jekyll, being of sound mind, and of my own free will, do make the following bequest. At my death, all my worldly goods and possessions are to pass into the hands of my friend and benefactor, Edward Hyde. In the event of my disappearance or unexplained absence for any period exceeding 3 calendar months, the said Edward Hyde is to inherit all my worldly goods without delay, and free from any burden or obligation beyond payment of a few small sums due to the members of my household staff.
Witnessed on this day of our Lord, January the 25th, 1885, by the hand of James Utterson, solicitor.
And Hasty Lanyon, Doctor of Medicine.
Dr. Jekyll's will was written some months before the events I am about to relate occurred. As his solicitor, it would naturally have fallen to me to assist him in the making of his will, but somehow I found it impossible. There was something so irrational about the clauses in it. Who was this Edward Hyde, who was to benefit so magnificently upon Henry Jekyll's death? Although I was one of his oldest and closest friends, I had never heard mention of this mysterious Mr. Hyde. I am a man who likes life to be regular and organized. I'm not one for surprises or indeed mysteries. Henry Jekyll was a jovial man with a kind intelligence. He delighted in the company of his friends. It seemed unthinkable that he should have a friend and benefactor whom I had never met. It was for this reason that I agreed merely to witness the will and to take charge of it once it was signed and sealed, but not to take any further part in its contents or provisions. I put the will in my safe with a certain feeling of indignation and tried to forget the matter. Some months later, however, the name of Hyde cropped up again, and what I learned about him then made me even more indignant and somehow apprehensive. I was taking one of my regular Sunday walks with my distant cousin, young Richard Enfield. On this particular occasion, the fine weather had brought us out to a by-street in a busy quarter of London. A shadow seemed to pass over the sun, however, when my companion stopped me outside a blistered and peeling door, equipped with neither bell nor knocker, and quite out of keeping with the cheerful, prosperous nature of the busy street.
Utterson, old fellow, have you ever noticed this door?
One could hardly help noticing it. It's crying out for a lick of paint. What of it?
This door is connected with a very odd story.
Indeed.
It was like this. I was walking home, alone, from some godforsaken place on the other side of London, about 3 o'clock one black winter's morning, when I came to a part of town where there was literally nothing to be seen but lamps. Street after street, and all the folks asleep. Street after street, all lighted up as if for a procession, and all as empty as a church. Finally, I got into that state of mind when a man listens and listens and begins to long for the sight of a policeman. All at once I saw 2 figures. One, a little man who was stumping along eastwards at a good pace, and the other, a girl of maybe 8 or 10, running as hard as she was able down a side street towards him. Well, the inevitable occurred.
Out of my way, damn you! Out of my way!
Having knocked her down with his cane, the man trampled calmly over the child's body and left her screaming on the ground. Naturally, I gave chase. Come back! Come back here! Stop, I say! Gotcha, you villain! He was perfectly cool and made no resistance, but gave me one look, so ugly that it brought out the sweat on my forehead. I took him back to the child. Quite a group had gathered about her. What do you mean by this? Were you trying to kill the child, trampling her like that? Haven't you any decent human feelings?
It was an accident. Look, she's only shaken. Why make such a fuss over a child?
A child? You won't have a friend left when I've finished with you, sir. Your name will stink like rotten fish from one end of London to the other.
If you intend to take advantage of this incident, then of course I am helpless. No gentleman wants a public scandal. Name your figure.
If you were a man of honor, you'd not need to ask how much. The least you can offer this poor girl's family in compensation is £150.
You must be mad. Nobody is worth that, dead or alive. £50 if you insist.
Remember your reputation.
£100 then. Not a penny more. Come with me.
And where do you think he led us? But to this street, and to that door. He whipped out a key, went in, and presently came back with £10 in gold and a cheque for the balance drawn on Coots, payable to the bearer and signed by someone whose name I feel it better not to mention, as he's well known and often in the papers. I had every reason to believe the cheque was a forgery. A man does not walk into a cellar door at 4 in the morning and come out with another man's cheque for close on £100.
Set your mind at rest. I will stay with you till the bank's open and be with you when you cash the cheque.
We passed the rest of the night in my chambers, and the next day went to the bank. I gave him the cheque myself. It was genuine.
Good Lord.
I see you feel as I do, Utterson. Yes, it's a bad story. And the fellow who trampled over that child like a juggernaut was a really damnable man. I'd taken a loathing to him for a son. There was something wrong with his appearance, something displeasing, something detestable. I never saw a man I so disliked, and yet I scarce know why. He must be deformed somewhere. He gives a strong feeling of deformity, although I couldn't specify the point. Yet the person who signed the cheque is the very epitome of virtue, as I said. Celebrated, too. Blackmail, I suppose. An honest man paying through the nose for some of the capers of his youth.
And do you happen to know if this man who does good deeds and whose cheque it was you cashed lives here?
What a likely place, isn't it? Well, I vaguely noticed his address on the cheque. Some square or other.
And you never asked about this place with the door?
No. But I've studied the building myself. As you can see, it seems scarcely a house. There's no other door, and nobody goes in or out of that one, but once in a great while, the man who featured in my adventure.
If I don't ask you about the name on the cheque, Enfield, it is because I think I know it already. However, there is one name I would like to know. The name of the man who walked over the child.
Well, I can't see what harm it would do. It was a man by the name of Hyde.
On hearing that name again, I went home and looked up Henry Jekyll's will. My friend and benefactor, Edward Hyde. Whereas before I had been irritated by the name, now I was both fearful and intrigued. What connection could this appalling man have with Dr. Jekyll? I decided to have a talk with Dr. Lanyon, who'd been a friend of Henry Jekyll even longer than I, and was co-witness to his will. I suppose, Lanyon, that you and I must be the two oldest friends Henry Jekyll has.
I wish the friends were younger, but I suppose we are. Anyway, what's it matter? I hardly ever see him these days.
Really? I thought you had a great deal in common.
Oh, we had. But it's several years since Henry Jekyll became too fanciful for me. Oh, he'd started talking such unscientific rubbish that I lost patience with him. Of course, I continue to take an interest in him for old time's sake, but I've seen very little of the man lately. Not since the signing of his will, in fact.
Had you ever come across this protege of his, this Edward Hyde?
No, I'd never heard of him. Since my time. Anyway, I didn't think it my business to pry. I assumed you knew all about him.
And that was the sum total of the information I carried back with me that evening to my great, dark bed, upon which I tossed to and fro through a sleepless night. My imagination had been fired by Enfield's tale. When not confronted by vivid pictures of that human juggernaut trampling the poor child into the ground, I envisaged Henry Jekyll asleep in his rich home, dreaming and smiling at his dreams. The door of the room would open, the curtains of the bed be plucked apart, and there would stand a faceless figure to whom power was given, and even at that dead hour, my friend must rise and do its bidding. And thus it was that there sprang up in my mind a singularly strong, almost an inordinate curiosity to behold the features of the real Mr. Hyde. From that time on, I began to haunt the sordidly neglected door. If he be Mr. Hyde, I thought, I shall be Mr. Seek. At last, my patience was rewarded. At 10 o'clock one night, when the street was very solitary, footsteps approached, and a small, plainly dressed man made straight for the door, taking a key from his pocket as he did so, like one approaching home. I stepped out from my hiding place in the entry and tapped him on the shoulder. Mr. Hyde, I believe.
That is my name. What do you want?
I see you're going in. I'm an old friend of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Utterson of Gaunt Street. You must have heard my name, and meeting you so conveniently, I thought you might admit me.
You will not find Dr. Jekyll. He is from home. How did you know me?
Will you do me a favor?
With pleasure. What is it?
Will you look me in the face? Thank you. Now I shall know you again. It may be useful.
Yes. It is as well we have met. And apropos, I had better let you have my address.
You think I'll have need of it for some reason?
Perhaps. One day. 95 St. Anne Street, Soho. Now, tell me, how did you know who I was?
By description.
Whose description?
We have mutual friends.
Mutual friends? Who are they?
Jekyll, for instance.
He has never told you about me. I did not take you for a liar.
Oh, come, sir, control yourself. And so he disappeared inside. Speaking to him at last, I was conscious of a disgust and loathing that I had never known before. It could not be explained by his pale and dwarfish appearance, nor his displeasing smile, his unpleasant demeanour. No, it was something more. The man seemed hardly human. Poor Henry Jekyll, I thought. If ever I read Satan's signature upon a face, it is on that of your new friend. Round the corner from the by-street was a square of handsome houses, in one of which lived Dr. Jekyll. My knock was answered by his manservant, Poole.
Good evening, Mr. Utterson.
Good evening, Poole. Is Dr. Jekyll at home?
I'm afraid not, sir. He went out some time ago.
Ah. I saw Mr. Hyde come in the back way by the laboratory door just now. Is that all right when Dr. Jekyll's not at home?
Oh, quite all right, Mr. Utterson, sir. Mr. Hyde has a key.
Your master seems to place great trust in that young man, Poole.
Oh, yes, sir, he do indeed. We all have orders to obey him.
I don't think I have ever met Mr. Hyde.
Oh, dear, no, sir. He never dines here. Indeed, we see very little of him on this side of the house. He mostly comes and goes by the laboratory.
I see. Well, thank you, Poole. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Utterson.
My fears for Henry Jekyll increased. He was obviously in very deep waters. He was wild when he was young, to be sure, but that had been a long time ago. That must be it, I felt, the ghost of some sin, the cancer of some concealed disgrace. I wanted to help, if only Jekyll would let me. An opportunity occurred a fortnight later, when the doctor gave one of his pleasant dinners for 5 or 6 old cronies. I contrived to remain behind after the others had left. I've been wanting to speak to you, Jekyll, about that will of yours.
Oh, my poor Utterson, you are unfortunate in having a client like me. I've never seen anyone as upset as you were by my will, except perhaps that hidebound old fogey Lanyon by my scientific theories.
Well, you know, I never approved of it.
My will, yes, certainly, I know that. You've told me so.
Well, I'm telling you so again. I've been learning something about young Mr. Hyde.
I do not care to hear more. I thought we had agreed to drop the matter.
What I heard was abominable.
I cannot change my will. You do not understand my position.
Now, Jekyll, you can trust me. I make a clean breast of all this in confidence, and I'm sure I can get you out of it.
My dear Utterson, it is very good of you, and I thank you. But it's not what you imagine. If it will put your mind at rest, I'll tell you one thing. The moment I choose, I can be rid of Mr. Hyde. I give you my word. Now, please let the subject rest.
I've no doubt you're perfectly right.
But since we have touched upon this business, and for the last time, I hope, there is one point I should like you to understand. I have really a very great interest in that young man. And if anything should happen to me, I want you to promise me that you will bear with him and get his rights for him. I think you would if you knew everything.
Well, I can't pretend that I shall ever like him.
I don't ask that. I only ask you to help him for my sake when I am no longer here.
Oh, very well. I promise. Nearly a year after my talk with Henry Jekyll, during which I saw little of my friend, I received a letter from Hasty Lanyon. The envelope read, "Private, for the hands of J.G. Utterson alone." Inside was another envelope, and marked upon the cover, "Not to be opened till the death or disappearance of Dr. Henry Jekyll." To my everlasting regret, I obeyed his strange request, for had I read the contents of that envelope, I would have been prepared for the dreadful events that followed. Indeed, I might even have prevented the tragedy.
Shocking death, the well-known doctor! Elderly Scottish doctor beaten to death! Horrible killing in London Street!
Good morning, Inspector.
Newcomen, sir. Newcomen of the yard.
Now, do come in, Inspector. Take a seat.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's very kind of you to see me at such short notice.
Well, to tell you the truth, I was half expecting you to call. I'm afraid I can guess why you're here. I've been reading about it in my morning paper.
It's a terrible business, sir. Quite terrible.
Yes, indeed.
Dr. Lanyon was a close friend of yours, I understand.
Well, that is so. This is a tragic turn of events.
Indeed it is, sir. It was a particularly brutal murder. The body of the deceased was quite mangled. Could have been the work of some animal. Beaten to a pulp, you might say.
How horrible.
There were no witnesses to the crime, apart from a maidservant who worked for Dr. Lanyon. She happened to be looking out of her bedroom window that night and witnessed the scene. I have a note of her statement here. My master was walking along the cobbled lane below my window when I saw advancing to meet him a pale and dwarfish man carrying a heavy cane who accosted him. I was surprised to notice that it was a certain Mr. Hyde. I beg your pardon, sir.
Nothing. Please continue.
A certain Mr. Hyde who had recently visited my master. The two spoke for a moment, and then the little man raised his stick and started beating old Dr. Lanyon with it so that the bones could be heard breaking, and his body jumped about on the roadway. Oh, at this, the girl seems to have fainted, but she did remember one thing very clearly.
And what was that?
A peculiarity of the attacker. He trampled his victim underfoot and jumped on him with the fury of an ape.
Trampled?
Yes, Mr. Utterson. As if he'd been of no more importance than a rag doll. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when the maid came to her senses and called for us. The murderer was long gone, but the stick he had used to club the doctor to death had obviously split in two, and one half was by the body. The other, without a doubt, has been carried away by the murderer.
This Mr. Hyde, you said, was not very tall?
Almost dwarfish. Particularly small and particularly wicked-looking is how the maid described him.
If you will come with me in my cab, I think I can take you to his home.
You know this fellow, sir?
I have my suspicions. As we drove towards Soho, I gave the inspector Enfield's description of the events concerning the young child and the cheque for £100, of how I had waited for Hyde and at last spoken to him and had been given his address. But I carefully made no mention of my friend, Dr. Jekyll. It was now about 9 o'clock in the morning. The first fog of the season still swirled over the city like a great chocolate-coloured cloud. And as I glanced at the inspector, I felt a touch of that terror of the law which may, at all times, affect the most honest. As the cab drew up at the address I had given, the fog lifted a little to disclose a narrow, dingy street, a gin palace, a cheap French eating house, and many ragged children huddled in doorways. The next moment the fog settled down again, brown as umber, as we reached the house of Dr. Jekyll's favourite, the man who was heir to £250,000 sterling.
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. What can I do for you?
Good morning, madam. I'm inquiring the whereabouts of a certain Mr. Edward Hyde.
Oh, this is Mr. Hyde's residence, but he is not at home.
Have you any idea where he may be found?
He came home very late last night, but went away again within the hour.
Do you know why?
No, I don't know the reason. There's nothing strange in that. Mr. Hyde keeps very irregular hours. He's often absent.
Is he?
Before yesterday, I hadn't clapped eyes on him for nigh 2 months.
Very well, then. We wish to see his rooms, if you please.
I'm afraid that's quite impossible. Mr. Hyde is a very particular gentleman.
Madam, this is Inspector Newcomen of Scotland Yard.
Oh, is he in trouble then? What's he done?
I didn't say he'd done anything. We merely hope that Mr. Hyde may be able to help us with our inquiries. And now, my good woman, just let me and this gentleman have a look about us.
Oh, very well. I suppose you'd better come in. It's this way, and then up the stairs. Follow me.
He certainly don't seem a very popular character.
So it would appear, Inspector.
He only uses a couple of rooms, but he's got them furnished nice. Brought his own stuff, he did. Carpets and pictures and that. Well, here we are.
Thank you. That'll be all for the moment.
Well, look at the state of this room. We must have been burgled.
Don't worry. We'll see to it. That will be all, thank you.
No rights in my own home.
After you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Not can't even.
Well, well, Inspector. Rather a surprise, eh?
Yes, indeed, sir. Quite luxurious. This painting over the mantelpiece must be worth a fair bit. Most striking.
But who could have done this? The place appears to have been ransacked.
Yes. It looks like the hurried flight of a guilty man to me. No thief would have been so careless.
Silver knives and forks. No, you're right. No burglar worth his salt would have left these behind.
Judging from this pile of ashes, it looks as if our man decided to have a bit of a bonfire before leaving. Embers still warm. Oh, what have we here? Remains of a checkbook.
There's something over here, Inspector.
Oh, what's that, sir?
A broken stick.
Oh, yes. That's the other half of the murder weapon, all right. He must have lost his head, or he'd never have destroyed the checkbook, or above all, left that stick. We have nothing to do but wait for him at his bank. The man obviously can't live without money, and plenty of it. In the meanwhile, we'll make further investigation among his associates.
This last, however, was not so easy to accomplish, for Mr. Hyde had few acquaintances. His family couldn't be traced, he had never been photographed, and the few who could describe him differed widely, as casual observers usually do. Only on one point were they all agreed, and that was the haunting sense of unexpressed deformity with which the fugitive impressed those who saw him. Although I had avoided all mention of Dr. Jekyll in my dealings with the inspector, I now felt I needed to talk to my old friend urgently, for the remains of the stick found in Hyde's rooms I recognized as one that I had presented to Henry Jekyll many years before. It was late the same afternoon that I made my way to his house.
Mr. Utterson, sir.
Ah, come in, old friend.
Yes, thank you.
That'll be all, thank you, Poole.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to see you, Utterson. Sit down. Forgive me for not getting up. I'm not feeling well.
I understand. The news about poor old Lanyon, no doubt.
They were crying it in the square, and of course the papers are all full of it.
Jekyll, Lanyon was my client, but so are you. And I want to know what I'm doing. You've not been mad enough to shelter this fellow Hyde.
Utterson, I swear to God I will never set eyes on him again. I am done with him in this world. It is all at an end.
You seem pretty sure of him. Well, for your sake, I hope you're right.
I am quite sure of him. I have grounds for certainty that I cannot share with anyone.
Well, there's just one thing more. It was Hyde who dictated the terms of your will? Yes, I knew it. Your supposed friend meant to murder you. You've had a lucky escape.
What is far more to the point, I have had a lesson. Oh, God, Utterson, what a lesson I have had.
And so time ran on and life began to resume its normal pattern. Thousands of pounds were offered in reward, for the death of Dr. Lanyon had been keenly felt by the general public, and the police kept watch upon the house in Soho for several months, but Mr. Hyde had disappeared as though he had never existed. Much of his past was unearthed, and all disreputable. Tales came out of the man's callous and violent cruelty, his vile, dissipated life, and of his strange associates, but of his present whereabouts, not a whisper. Now that the evil influence Edward Hyde had held over my friend was removed, a new life began for Henry Jekyll. He came out of his seclusion and took up his old friendships. He became once more their familiar guest and entertainer. He was busy. He went out in the open air. He did good. His face seemed to open and brighten, and he became a regular churchgoer again. Once more, he was the jovial host of old.
A very humorous anecdote, Whitemore, if perhaps a trifle scandalous. Well, I think it's time for another toast. What shall it be? Why not quite simply old friends? The port is with you, Utterson.
Oh, sorry. I seem to have been hogging the decanter.
Old friend.
Old friend.
Oh, I felt as if someone walked over my grave just then. It put me in mind of poor old Dr. Lanyon. Maybe our next toast should be absent friends.
Perhaps it's not quite the right moment, Whitemore.
I hardly knew him, of course, though I'd met him here once or twice, but the rest of you regarded him as a close friend.
Indeed, yes, an old and valued friend.
To be killed, struck down in such a manner. Well, that story seems to be at an end, at least. We shall hear no more of Mr. Hyde.
I hope not, indeed, I hope not. The port, Utterson!
Oh!
For a few more months, Henry Jekyll maintained his refound pleasure in living, but it seemed too good to last, for gradually his friends noticed a further change in him. When I tried to call, I was refused admittance. Poole told me that the doctor was confined to the house and saw no one. I found his return to solitude deeply disturbing. After several fruitless attempts to see the doctor, I wrote to him complaining of my exclusion from his house. The following day, I received his reply.
Forgive me, my friend, for not seeing you, but I mean from henceforth to lead a life of extreme seclusion. You must not be surprised, nor must you doubt my friendship if my door is often shut to you. You must suffer me to go my own dark way. I have brought on myself a punishment and a danger that I cannot name. I could not think that this earth contained a place for sufferings and terrors so unmanning. And you can do but one thing, Utterson, to lighten this destiny, and that is to respect my silence.
I was amazed by this letter. A few months before, the dark influence of Hyde had been withdrawn, and the doctor had returned to his old tasks and companions. And now, in a moment, friendship and peace of mind and the whole tenor of his life were wrecked. I was deeply depressed. What could I do? Poole was my only contact with my old friend, and the news he had to communicate was not pleasant. The doctor, it appeared, now more than ever, confined himself to his laboratory at the back of his house, where he would sometimes even sleep. He was out of spirits and had grown very silent. I must confess that I became so used to the unwavering character of these reports that little by little I decreased the frequency of my visits. One evening I was sitting by my fireside when I was surprised to receive a visit from Jekyll's manservant. "Bless me, Poole, what brings you here this time of night? What's the matter?"
Mr. Utterson, sir,
Yes.
there is something wrong.
Now take a seat and tell me what it is that's troubling you.
You know Dr. Jekyll's ways, sir, and how he shuts himself up.
Yes?
Well, he shut himself up again in his laboratory. And I don't like it, sir. Mr. Utterson, I'm afraid.
Now calm yourself, my good man. Now what exactly are you afraid of?
I think there's been foul play.
Foul play? What foul play? What do you mean, man?
I believe my master's been done away with, sir.
What?
And who's in there instead of him? And why it stays there, I cannot say.
Now this is a wild tale, Poole. Supposing it were as you imagine, suppose Dr. Jekyll had been, well, murdered. What would induce the murderer to stay in the house?
Well, all last week, him or it or whatever it is that lives in the laboratory has been crying night and day for some sort of medicine. Sometimes the master used to write his orders on a sheet of paper and throw it onto the stairs. We've had nothing else but written notes for the past week, and a locked door, and even the meals are left there to be smuggled in when nobody's looking. Well, sir, every day, aye, twice and thrice in the same day, I've been sent flying to all the wholesale chemists in town. Every time I brought the stuff back, there'd be another message telling me to return it, because it was not pure. This drug is wanted bad, sir, whatever it's for.
Have you kept any of these messages?
The man at the chemist's was real angry, sir, and threw this back at me like so much dirt.
Yes. Dr. Jekyll presents his compliments to Messrs. Moore. He assures them that their last sample is impure and quite useless for his present purpose. Dr. Jekyll once bought a large quantity from Messrs. Moore. He now begs them to search most carefully, and should any of the same quality be left, to send it to him at once. What's this? His writing becomes almost illegible. For God's sake, find me some of the old. This is indeed a strange note. Is it in the doctor's handwriting, do you think?
Well, I thought it looked like it, but... Oh, what does that matter? I've seen him.
Seen him? Who?
Well, sir, it was this way. I came into the house suddenly, by the back entrance from the garden. It seemed he'd come out to look for this drug or whatever, for the laboratory door was open. He looked up when I came in, gave a kind of cry, and then rushed back inside. I only caught sight of him for a moment, but it made my hair stand on end like quills. Oh, sir, that thing was not my master, and that's the truth. My master is a tall, fine build of a man, but this was more of a dwarf.
What?
Oh, sir, do you think I do not know my master after 20 years? No, sir. That thing was never Dr. Jekyll. God knows what it was, but it was never him. And I believe in my heart that murder has been done.
Poole, since you say that, it becomes my duty to make certain. We'll go to your master's home, and if necessary, I shall break down the laboratory door.
Oh, Mr. Utterson, sir, now you're talking.
Then it's right that we should be completely frank. We both think more than we have said. Now let us make a clean breast. This figure that you saw, did you recognize it?
Well, sir, it went so quick that I could hardly swear to that. But if you mean, was it Mr. Hyde? Why, yes, I think it was. No, sir, he had a key to the laboratory door.
Yes, I once spoke with him.
Then you must know, as well as the rest of us, that there was something odd about that gentleman. I don't rightly know how to say it, sir, beyond this, that you felt it in your marrow, kind of cold and thin.
I confess I felt something of what you describe.
Well, when that thing like a monkey jumped back into the laboratory, the chill went down my spine like ice. I know it's not evidence, Mr. Utterson, but a man has his feelings. And I'll give you my Bible word. It was Mr. Hyde.
I agree. I've always feared that nothing but evil could come from that association. Right then, let us to business. We'll make an end of this suspense.
Jekyll, unlock this door. I demand to see you.
Go away! Leave me alone!
That sounds like your master's voice, doesn't it, Paul?
Well, yes and no, sir. Oh, there's something wrong somewhere, of that I'm certain.
Don't worry, I shall get to the bottom of the mystery.
Jekyll, I give you fair warning. Our suspicions are aroused, and I must and shall see you. If not with your consent, then by brute force.
Well done, sir. That's the spirit.
Utterson, for God's sake, have mercy!
I think I might have better luck on my own, Poole. Leave us, but stay within call. I may have need of you.
Very well, if you say so, sir. But I don't like leaving you. Really, I don't, sir.
It's all right now, Jekyll. We're quite alone. Won't you unlock the door and let me in?
So be it, if you insist. But I promise you no comfort.
My dear Jekyll, what's wrong with you? You are ill.
I am done for, Utterson. I doubt that anyone in this world can help me.
You must tell me all, my friend. I will do anything I can to help you.
I have ventured into the terrible unknown where no man should travel.
This involves your friend Hyde?
My friend? I would not call him that.
The murderer?
You are thinking of Lanyon's death?
Of course.
I will tell you about that unhappy event.
You?
It will be a relief to do so. Shortly before his death, Lanyon received a visit from Mr. Hyde.
Good evening, Dr. Lanyon. My name is Hyde, Edward Hyde.
So my maid informed me.
I have come from Dr. Jekyll.
Upon what errand, may I ask?
I have come about a certain package. Wait, I have a letter addressed to you. He recently gave you something to keep for him, I believe.
Yes, what of it?
Well, have you still got it, have you?
Come, sir, let go of my arm, if you please.
I beg your pardon, Dr. Lanyon. Forgive my impatience. Dr. Jekyll sent me here, and I understood...
One moment. Bearer of this letter will introduce himself on my behalf. I ask you to give him the small parcel I left with you, the contents of which include some powders, a file, and a notebook.
Yes.
I am confident that you will not treat this appeal lightly. Please do as I ask, my dear Lanyon, and save your friend Henry Jekyll.
Yes.
Oh, what you're looking for is on that table by the window.
At last.
For God's sake, man, control yourself.
Have you a graduated glass, Dr. Lanyon?
Here.
One of these powders. Let me see. 4 drops of the red tincture. Look. See how the color changes as the crystals dissolve in the liquid and the phosphorus produces light. When the vapor turns purple, then green, it will be ready. Now, Dr. Lanyon, what do you intend to do? Will you allow me to leave your house with this glass in my hand, without any questions? I can go now, leaving you in ignorance, neither richer nor wiser. Or, if you choose, you can witness something which would give you the knowledge to enjoy undreamed-of avenues to fame and power. But I give you fair warning. It will be a sight to stagger the unbelief of Satan.
Sir, you speak enigmas. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me, but you may proceed.
Very well. But remember your vows, Lanyon. What follows is under the seal of your profession. But now, you who have always denied the existence of a world outside our own and derided the idea of another dimension, be prepared to learn. Watch Dr. Lanyon.
Oh, my God!
As you see, it is indeed Henry Jekyll standing before you. Your eyes do not deceive you.
What have you done, Jekyll? What fiendish trick is this?
Sit down, Lanyon, and listen to me. I long to tell someone what I have discovered, and yet I hardly dare to. 1 minute I'm in heaven, and the next in hell. May I speak to you frankly, as an old friend?
I can't bring myself to believe what I have just seen. But for friendship's sake, I will hear what you have to say, and then go. I never wish to see you again.
And so I told him all, as I will tell you, Utterson.
The letter. Letter? Just before he died, Lanyon sent me a letter with instructions that it was not to be opened until after your death, Jekyll. I think now I can guess the contents.
But had you really no suspicion? Did you never suspect that Edward Hyde and Henry Jekyll were one and the same?
No, never. Why should I? You a murderer?
Edward Hyde is a murderer, not I.
But you've just told me
Let me explain. I have always been interested in the spiritual side of life. My theory told me that man was not truly one, but truly two. There is good and evil in even the best and noblest of us. I, Henry Jekyll, had such high ideals and aspirations that I buried my baser instincts and advanced infallibly in one direction, and one direction only. But I continued to reflect on man's dual nature. If each, I told myself, could but be housed in separate identities, life would be relieved of all that was unbearable. The unjust could go his way, and the just could walk steadfastly and securely on his upward path. By chance, my scientific studies shed new light on this war between the two sides of my personality, and I managed to produce a drug which I thought would change the seemingly solid body in which we live and liberate my inner self from its prison. I knew I risked death. Any drug so potent might easily prove fatal. At last, I purchased from a firm of wholesale chemists a particularly rare salt, which I knew to be the last ingredient required. I compounded the elements and drank the potion. It shook the doors of my personality, and the captive within ran out.
Lord have mercy.
After the agonizing pains which followed, and an indescribable terror of the spirit accompanying them, I felt a strange sensation of release, incredible, and new, and sweet. I felt younger, lighter, happier in body, an innocent freedom of the soul. I was conscious of a heady recklessness, sensual images, a solution of the bonds of obligation. I knew myself to be 10 times more wicked than before, and the thought excited and delighted me like wine. I stretched out my hands, exulting in the freshness of these sensations, and as I did so, I was suddenly aware that I had somehow shrunk in size. I went to my room to look in the mirror and saw for the first time the appearance of Edward Hyde. He was so much smaller, slighter, and younger than Henry Jekyll. Evil is good shone from the countenance of the one. Evil was written broadly and plainly on the face of the other. It was as if evil had deformed him and left behind an impression of decay. And yet, when I looked at that ugly idol in the glass, I was conscious of a leap of welcome. This, too, was myself.
God help you.
As Edward Hyde, I took rooms in Soho with a housekeeper known to be silent and unscrupulous. I drew up that will to which you so much objected, so that anything befell me in the person of Dr. Jekyll, I could enter on that of Edward Hyde without financial loss. The pleasures I made haste to seek in my disguise were monstrous. On returning from these excursions, Henry Jekyll stood aghast at times before the acts of Edward Hyde. But he was no worse. He woke again with his good qualities unimpaired, and would even make haste, where possible, to undo the evil done by Hyde. I do not intend to go into any details about the depraved and debauched life I led as Hyde. But there was one incident which I mention only because it involved, I have subsequently discovered, a kinsman of yours.
Enfield and the child.
He told you of the incident?
Indeed he did.
Some time after that incident, I had been out on one of my adventures, had returned home and resumed the character and appearance of Henry Jekyll. I retired to bed and awoke next morning, feeling at odds with myself. I was in Henry Jekyll's bed, in Henry Jekyll's house, and yet I felt I ought to be in my rooms in Soho, where I was accustomed to sleep as Edward Hyde. My eye fell upon my hands. Now, look, the hand of Henry Jekyll is that of a professional man, white and shapely. But the hand I saw resting on the sheet was corded, knuckly, and thickly shaded with a growth of black hair. I had gone to bed Henry Jekyll and awoken Edward Hyde. While enjoying the bestial side of my nature, I was slowly losing grip on my first and better self, and becoming more and more my second and worse self, without the use of any drug. I was stricken with terror. What should I do if I were caught unawares without my drugs, and unable to reverse the change? If I tried to enter my house as Hyde, my servants might refuse to let me in. I cannot enter my rooms in Soho as Hyde and leave them as Jekyll. So I thought of my old friend Hasty Lanyon, and asked him to keep a package containing the ingredients for my concoction in case I should require them. That event occurred only very shortly afterwards. When going about town on business, I found myself being transformed against my will into the shape and character of my baser second self.
But why did you murder Lanyon?
I would never contemplate murder. But, as I have explained, my feelings and actions as Henry Jekyll are not those of Edward Hyde. When I next assumed the identity and character of that odious person, he immediately suspected that Lanyon would be unable to maintain his oath of professional secrecy. And so, as Hyde, I waited for him at night outside his home. When I saw him coming towards me through the mist, a spirit of hell awoke in me and raged. With a transport of glee, I mauled his unresisting body, tasting delight from every blow, and it was not until weariness set in that I was suddenly struck through the heart by a cold thrill of terror. I ran to my rooms in Soho and destroyed my papers. I returned here, still gloating on my crime. I compounded the draught, and as I drank it, pledged the dead man.
Dear God.
The pains of transformation had hardly died before Henry Jekyll, with tears of remorse streaming down his face, fell on his knees and swore that never again would I resume the identity of Edward Hyde. Never again would I indulge in the horrors and iniquities of that hideous life. I resolved in my future conduct to redeem the past. But as the months went by and the first signs of penitence wore off, the lower side of me, so long indulged, so recently chained down, began to growl for license.
Oh, Jekyll.
Not that I dreamed of resuscitating Hyde. No, it was as Jekyll that I was once more tempted to trifle with my conscience, and it was as an ordinary secret sinner that I at last fell to temptation, and this brief submission to my evil side
finally destroyed the balance of my soul. I was sitting in Regent's Park, the animal in me licking the chops of memory, the spiritual side a little drowsed, when a qualm came over me, the nausea, the deadly shuddering. I looked down to see that my clothes hung formlessly on my shrunken limbs. The hand that lay on my knee was corded and hairy. I was once more Edward Hyde. I returned to my laboratory, prepared, and took a draught, and slept. I was on my way to my study after breakfast when I was seized again with these indescribable sensations that heralded the change. And I only just gained the shelter of my laboratory before I was, once again, raging and freezing with the passions of Hyde. It took on this occasion a double dose to recall me to myself. But alas, 6 hours later, as I sat by my fire, the pains returned and the drug had to be re-administered. And so it has continued.
My poor, poor friend.
I experimented with life itself and the human personality. That is God's prerogative. I am being truly punished for meddling with it. And that punishment might have gone on for years, but for the last calamity that has befallen me.
What now?
The supply of the special salt I use in my mixture began to run low, and I sent for a fresh supply. I mixed the draught. The first colour change occurred, but not the second. I drank it, and nothing happened. I have had London ransacked. It has been in vain, and I now believe that my original supply was impure in some way, and that it was this unknown impurity which lent efficacy to the draught. My original supply is now exhausted. I am helpless.
What can I do?
Oh no! He's taking over again. I stand condemned, Utterson. I have lived a double life as public morality demanded of me, and now I am paying the price. He will not let me be.
Have courage, Jekyll.
Edward Hyde has become too powerful for me. He owns my very soul. He will never leave me alone.
Henry, be brave. Hold fast.
I cannot. I'm changing, sinking, shrinking. Help me.
How can I help you? What must I do?
There's only one chance, one hope. That small flask there, over there in the poison cupboard, that contains the only hope I have of salvation.
This one?
Yes, here it is.
It's a mark.
That doesn't matter. For God's sake, hurry. Hand it to me.
Henry, what have you made me do?
You deceiver. You false friend. You have murdered me, Utterson. You must have realized that the phial contained poison.
No, I swear.
You wanted to betray me. Judas, let me get my hands on you. You'll swing for this, lawyer.
Sir, what's happened? I heard shouts of Mr. Hyde's voice. But where is my master?
You were right in your suspicions, Poole. But you've come too late whether to save or punish. Hyde is gone to his maker, and it only remains for us to find the body of your master.
In the middle of the laboratory, we gazed upon the corpse of a man, hideously contorted and still twitching. The cords of Edward Hyde's face moved with a semblance of life, but life was quite gone. He lay there dressed in clothes too large for him, and by the crushed phial in his hand, Poole knew, without asking, that he was looking at the body of a self-destroyer. The servants searched the building from cellars to attic, but nowhere was there any trace of Henry Jekyll, dead or alive. My old friend's secret is safe with me, For I incline to Cain's heresy. I let my brother go to the devil in his own way.
In The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, dramatized for radio by Jill Brooke, from the story by Robert Louis Stevenson, Michael Aldridge played Dr. Jekyll, James Bryce, Mr. Hyde, and Bernard Hepton, Utterson. Poole was played by David Garth, Enfield, Graham Blockey, Inspector Newcomen, John Rye, Dr. Lanyon, Garrard Green, the landlady, Pauline Letts, the little girl, Verity Ann Meldrum, and Whitemore, Ronald Herdman. The play was directed by Glyn Dearman.